Lesson number 48, lines, rays, and angles. Okay, so in geometry, geometry is the study of shapes, all right, in math. And so there's a lot of vocabulary that you have to know when it comes to geometry, when it comes to shapes, all right? So let's look at some of these key vocabulary. So the first one is a point. So a point is just a single dot anywhere, all right? Just a single dot anywhere is a point, all right? And you just write that using a letter. All right. Now, a line is a series of points that go infinitely in each direction. You see these arrows here? That's telling you that it just keeps going and going and going. It's not stopping. All right. It keeps going all the way on the left side. It keeps going on the right side. All right. Those arrows means continuous. The way you would write that is you take your 2 points, A, B, and you draw a line with the arrows on top of it. Okay. So that's how you draw a line. You draw A, B, and then up. All right. The next one is a line segment. Now, look at the difference here. If you notice, there's no arrows going in either direction. That means it's stopped right here, right? It doesn't keep going left, doesn't keep going right. This is called a line segment. It's a part of a line. All right. And the way you'd write that is, again, you use your 2 points, A and B, and you just write a straight line on top of it. All right. And that tells you it's a line segment. Now, the last one is a ray. Now, the ray is a combination of a line and a line segment. Notice that one side, A, is stopped, but B keeps going and going and going and going. So that's called a ray. A ray is a line that keeps going on one side, but it stops on the other. All right. So if you look at these, we have lines that keep going infinitely in each direction, line segments. All right. They're cut off. They stop on either side. An array is a line, but it only goes in one direction. All right. Some more vocabulary. All right. We have what's called here parallel lines. All right. Parallel lines. Parallel lines that are 2 lines that are going in the same direction and they will never touch each other. So if you look at AB and CD, notice the 2 lines, they're both going in the same direction. They're both going left or right, perfectly next to each other. Those are called parallel lines. If they're 2 lines that go perfectly in each direction going the same way, those are parallel lines. The opposite would be perpendicular lines. If you see the picture here, perpendicular lines are 2 lines that cross each other perfectly in the middle. All right? You see that? They cross, they're the opposite of parallel. Now, and the angle will always be a right angle. That will always be a 90-degree angle. If 2 lines are perpendicular, that means the point where they cross over is 90 degrees. And then finally, we have angles, and there's different kinds of angles. All right. So we've talked about this in another lesson. We talked about right angles. Right angles is when it comes perfectly 90 degrees. Okay. There's that little box there. It's 90 degrees. The 2 lines hit each other perfectly. All right. Then we have different kind of angles. All right. An acute angle would be an angle that's shorter than 90 degrees. So it'd be 89, 88, 87, 86, blah, 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 blah. An angle that is less than 90 degrees would be an acute angle, acute. And an angle that's more than 90 degrees, if it's 91, 92, 93, 94, blah, 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 that's called an obtuse angle. All right? So you can kind of think of it as the acute angle is the thin angle, and the obtuse angle is the wide angle. All right? And we'll do some more practices. But anyway, here's some vocabulary you need to know. And the more you practice, the more you'll get familiar with it. So don't worry in first. All right. So this question says, which sides are parallel? Well, remember, parallel sides keep going in the same direction without touching each other. So let's look at this real fast. Let's say we extended these lines right here, AD and BC. Well, look what happens is after a while, they're going to touch each other. So those are not parallel lines. They're crossing each other. What you want to look for is right here. You see this AB going perfectly straight. You see that DC? I know my handwriting is bad, but just imagine it's going perfectly straight. Those two lines are parallel. They keep going in the same direction forever and ever, and they're never going to touch each other. They're perfectly going in the same direction. Yes, I know my drawing is bad, but just pretend. All right. So what am I looking at here? AB and DC is the answer. Or AB and CD. Sorry, either one is okay. AB, CD, DC, they're the same line. Okay. Look at this question. The question is actually which angle is obtuse? All right. So remember, obtuse angles are bigger than 90 degrees. So this is 90 degrees. All right. That would be what's called a right angle. Now, if it's smaller than 90 degrees like that, that's called an acute angle. And if it's wider than 90 degrees like that, we would call that an obtuse angle. Okay. So again, this one up here is a right angle. It's when the two lines come perfectly together, make that elbow. If it's leaning forward, it's an acute angle. So let's take a look at these different angles and see which one's obtuse. Okay. So let's start with BGC. All right. Well, we start with B. Okay. Remember, go to G, B, G, C, go to G and C. Well, if we look here, BGC is not an obtuse angle. It's an acute angle. It's less than 90 degrees, so that's not it. Let's look at another one. AGD. All right, ready? A to G to D. Look at that. That's an obtuse angle, right? That looks like it's bigger than 90 degrees. Let's just try other answers to see what works. CGD. Well, here's CGD. Nope, that's a very skinny, that's a very thin angle right there. And then let's look at AGC. AGC. Well, that's a perfect right angle right there. All right. So what's our answer? Our answer is AGD, is the obtuse angle. This next question asks, which angle is the right angle? Well, I don't have to go through all of my answers. I can just start right here. I can just see off the bat, look, A, G, C, right? There's the one where the two lines come in there together. Remember, right angle means 90 degrees. So the angle into here, the answer is AGC. The next question asks, what type of angle is angle DGC? So where's DGC? I start with D, go to G, go up to C. Well, I can see that that's a real thin angle right there, and it's less than 90 degrees. So that would be an acute angle. The next question says, what type of lines cross to form a right angle? What kind of lines cross to form a right angle? Well, here's one line. Here's another one crossing. So remember, two lines that cross into each other and make a right angle are called perpendicular. Perpendicular are two lines that cross each other to form a right angle. And the last example says, which shape has parallel line segments? Remember, parallel lines are two lines going next to each other in the same direction forever without touching. So a circle doesn't have any of those lines. Triangle doesn't have any of those lines. They all cross. D, none of these lines are parallel to each other. The answer is C. It has two pairs of parallel lines. These ones going left and right are parallel, and these going up and down are parallel.